Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
In this week's episode of the Kindness Project, we talk about canned drinks, swimming pool rules, and we have part 2 of our interview with Tehmina Mirza.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Kindness Project. I'm joined by a man who actually went out today, it's Russell Dames, and a girl who is currently drinking a Pepsi Max. It's Charlotte. How you doing? How we doing, guys?
We're good.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
We're doing okay. We're doing this quite late at night.
We are.
Not as late as we've done it before, but
we know that when we record a late podcast, it normally
or an early one.
It normally descends into more nonsense than it normally does. So I'm hoping that this is the right sort of late where we can keep it moderately sensible, but it's still quite good fun. Shall we crack on with the question of the podcast, and we'll get it early. I was just thinking about what podcast question we could ask today, because bear in mind we're now on podcast episode 213, so that is a lot of questions we've asked. I think we might have asked everything ever. We've put all the philosophical and existential questions.
Do we know what everyone's favourite animal is yet?
Yeah, we've put all the philosophical and existential questions out there, so we've just kept it simple this week and gone for what's your favourite canned drink? Now, Russ, what's your favourite?
Is it alcoholic or non-alcoholic?
Oh, good question. Good question. I'll let you pick either.
Well, I don't drink now. I give up drinking.
Did you ask about alcoholic then?
It's the principle. I can't drink.
Yeah. Well, for the purposes of our listeners, you can pick either alcoholic or non-alcoholic.
As long as it comes in a can, we don't mind.
As long as it comes in a can, it's all good.
Mostly I drink Pepsi Max.
Yeah. I'm not. Charlotte's drinking a Pepsi Max right now, but I can't drink too much Coke without it feeling like a bit gassy and a bit sugary.
Kelly drinks the Dutch Pepper Zero.
Would you say your super tenants? Yeah.
Well, she might.
Cans of super strong lager. I know. I mean, I've thought that about Kelly Russ, but I didn't want to say anything.
No, Dutch Pepper Zero.
Little do you know, we've got cans of like absinthe in the fridge or something.
Have we?
No, we don't.
Can you get absinthe in a can?
I don't think you can. But I did find out when Kelly was researching your martini, your
espresso
martini ice cream.
Right.
You can get it in a can.
Sorry, are you going to bring some espresso martini ice cream down?
Yes, on fire. I've not been able to lay my hands on a can of espresso martini yet.
Right.
As soon as I do, in March, I will bring your espresso martini.
He promised me espresso martini ice cream, didn't he?
I did.
Are you going to let down that promise of an espresso martini ice cream?
I have remembered. You've forgotten. But I've remembered.
I had forgotten, but now I've remembered. Remember espresso martini ice cream.
That's right.
Can you get espresso martini in a can? It can't be as good as a.
You can get espresso martini in a can.
Why are you getting a can and not the sort of raw ingredients?
I've got no use for a bottle of martini, and all I need is a teaspoon.
Gotcha. Fair enough. All right. Well, I'll let you off on that one. I think my favourite can is definitely Lil. I love a Lil.
Yeah.
Because of its totally tropical taste. It's really amazing. But you know what I always used to like as well, Russ? And this doesn't count as a canned drink. So anybody saying this, we're not going to read it out. Do you remember on Bongo? On Bongo, you drink it in the jungle. And that was amazing, wasn't it?
I think you can get on Bongo still in a can.
You can get on Bongo in a can?
I'm pretty sure you can.
Oh, amazing.
Is it a bit like a Rubicon?
It's a bit Rubicon-esque. Is that a word? I just made that up. Yeah. Rubicon-esque. I like that. But yeah, it's pretty good. What canned drink would you never touch? I know what mine is.
Anything alcoholic.
Iron Brew. Really don't see the point of an Iron Brew.
Never had Iron Brew. I don't know what it tastes like, but
Yeah, you're not missing much.
Both of you have dishonoured me today.
We've dishonoured her for not liking Iron Brew. Or actually, I'm probably in a better position, Russ, because I said I've tried it but didn't like it.
What flavour is Iron Brew?
What flavour is Iron Brew?
Iron Brew.
It's Iron Brew flavour.
I see a good advert, Iron Brew advert. I was watching this thing on Channel 5, and they had the Snowman advert.
Oh, yes!
And the song was Iron Brew.
Yes. We're walking in the...
Yeah. Drinking and sipping
and the snowman pinched the kid's Iron Brew and threw him in the snow.
And then they had a part 2 of that.
Yeah.
Where he was in the aeroplane chasing after the snowman.
And then Father Christmas at the Iron Brew. That's great doing this in February, isn't it? Talking about Iron Brew adverts, Christmas ones.
It's not fair, but it's true.
And you can get in touch with us, ladies and gents, using the following online sources.
So on Twitter, we're at All the Kindness. Yep, that's right. On Facebook, if you type The Kindness Project, we will come up. In Google, if you type The Kindness Project podcast, will come up. If you just want to go straight to the website, it's www.thekindnessproject.co.uk.
Yeah, and all of our previous episodes are on the website.
And then the email is honour@thekindnessproject.co.uk.
So yeah, feel free to get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. We couldn't do this show without your amazing comments for the question of the podcast. We absolutely love hearing from you. So thank you for doing that. So we've done sort of canned drinks. What else is going on in our lives at the minute that we want to talk about?
You and Soph went swimming today?
We did. We did go swimming, yeah. And I tell you what, Russ, I did a cannonball. I haven't done a cannonball into a swimming pool for years.
I don't know if that's something to be proud of at your age, to be honest.
What do you mean?
You know what they say? You have the big sign on the side of the swimming pool. No bombing, no running.
No. The only sign in my swimming pool is no diving. So you can splash.
So this is not just an hole you've dug in the garden.
You can jump in the pool as long as you're not good at it.
You can bomb. You can even heavy pet. I mean, Gassy wasn't there today, but I didn't get involved in any heavy petting. So yeah, it was. You got apparently a swimming pool. You can do with that as long as you don't dive.
Oh well.
Yeah, but the problem is with a Charlotte's having a little sort of move around.
Sorry.
The problem is with a cannonball is it hurts when it's water. I didn't realise. What do you mean at your age? What's the wrong age to do a cannonball, Russ?
Well, usually there's signs that say you're not allowed to do anything like that.
You're allowed?
And I would have thought at your age you would have known better.
At what age should I have known better?
Nobody wants a little spotty teenager blowing their whistle saying, "Sir."
I would have loved that. Do you know what I mean? 44 years of age, a teenager just chasing me out the pool for doing a cannonball. That would have been amazing. But you know what? Funny enough, I was having this conversation with my mate yesterday. We went for a run. So for the listeners who don't know, we don't live a million miles away from the Olympic Park in East London. It's a train ride away. Probably, I know he lives pretty close to it. We're probably about 40 minutes on a train away from it. And there was a 10K run. And I haven't, since that I did the marathon last year, I haven't done that much running. So I thought I'll get this one in the diary and we'll go for a run. And as we were running around, we were talking about the fact that I actually think there is some value in just trying to stay as young as possible. Now, that doesn't mean like sort of childish behaviour, but not putting limits on what you think you can do because of your particular age. I mean, I've seen an 85-year-old woman do a wind walk, and she loved it. So I think cannonballing into your local pool, make sure there's no kids around, chaps. Cannonballing into your local pool at the age of 44, I think it's perfectly acceptable.
It wasn't a problem with your age and cannonballing. It was a problem with your age and breaking the rules.
I
remember when it was probably you. and we were in Scotland, and you jumped into that pool. I can't remember if it was you or not. Came out with the lines at the bottom of the pool printed on the foreheads.
I've done that.
That was you, yeah.
In Cornwall once, I tried to do an handstand in the pool, let go, slipped, and banged my head on the bottom. So I've done all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, you came up and you just had the lines.
No, well, in Cornwall, when I tried to do the handstand and slip, I actually banged my head and had a sort of bled a bit. So it was quite a serious one. But if you don't live life like you're young, you can get old very quickly, I think. So yeah, I still quite enjoy it. So yeah, swimming. What else? What have you been up to, Russ?
My birthday.
Yes.
I had a nice quiet birthday.
Tell us about your birthday.
I had some gammon, egg and chips for dinner.
Classic birthday dinner.
Did you get our message, Russell?
I did. The video was very pleasant.
Yeah.
We send Russell a video every year. Well, not every year.
We try.
Well, you know what? We had a 10-year gap.
Yeah, you know what the unbelievably roofing is, and I've been telling everybody I speak to, never have I had somebody WhatsApp me and say, "Oh, is it your birthday today?"
What do you mean?
You should have known when my birthday was.
I wanted to check, Russ, because the last thing I had to WhatsApp him.
I know that your birthday is the 17th of August.
It's not. It's the 16th.
No, it's the 17th. It is the 17th. I know because it took me 16 years to learn.
Now you find me down myself.
It took me 16 years to learn that I should put it in my calendar so that I don't forget.
Right. So, it's my birthday is the 17th of August. Thank you to saying that on the podcast for all those fraudsters out there who want to mimic my card details or whatever. Cheers, mate.
It's not like it's giving out your string, is it?
But it's my birthday is the 17th of August. I'm 44. Any other personal information you want to give out, Russ?
No.
All right, that's fine.
Your home address will be next.
Yeah, home address. Yeah. Just I can.
Anyone wants to write to me on the above email, I'm quite happy to send them a couple of your bills and.
yeah. Just send them all my bank details as well. Russ. But I just wanted to check, my friend, to make sure that I'd got the right day. So
I do say that. I can understand that because Daddy's birthday.
Well, on Facebook, Dad's birthday comes up as a different day. So I was like, so who you been telling that I don't know what your birthday is?
Les. Kay.
Les? Yeah, go on. Kay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. They're the only two people I spoke to.
Oh, right, okay, fair enough. So you're not spreading it far and wide, are you?
No.
Listen, I actually made sure that you got a shout out on our little business community as well.
Rather embarrassing that was, yeah.
What do you mean embarrassing? I wanted to share the love.
Yeah, rather embarrassing that was.
Rather embarrassing.
Then I had to go through and like all the comments.
Of course you have. That is a problem with Facebook, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? If you don't like a nice comment about you, you feel a bit obligated to recognise the fact that people have been nice to you. And I don't think that's a problem. We are a podcast about kindness after all. And, people are kind enough to make a little comment. They didn't do you a video, right? Did they?
No.
And they didn't WhatsApp you kindly to check that the video was on the right day. That to me is an act of kindness, right? Right, Charlotte?
Yeah, no one sent you a video with some nice little in jokes.
Who else is calling your dog jokes on your birthday?
Oddly enough, I get on Facebook. It does that cool thing where it sends you videos people have sent you before.
Yeah.
And earlier in the day, I'd got the video from a couple of years back.
Well, the one from a couple of years back is amazing. The one that it's all based on, the OG birthday video, is 12 years old now, right? Yeah. And the reason we do it is because we always like to. Going back 10 years, Charlotte was 8, right?
Yeah.
So I'm actually going at 12 years. Charlotte was 6.
I think that might have been the one I see.
It might have been.
Where Sophie and Charlotte was still quite young.
No, it wouldn't have been, would it?
No, because it was just me the first time.
The OG video, it was just me and Charlotte. And she just at the end, like 6-year-olds do, she just went, nice, isn't it? Like that. Yeah. And then also just went, have a nice time. And every video we do, we've got to repeat the phrases, nice, isn't it? And have a nice time. Yeah.
And I will never live it down.
And when she's 38 and I'm really old and still dive bombing into a bowl, I'm going to be repeating, nice, isn't it? And
talking of Facebook videos, you know what I think you should bring back? The Poetry Corner.
See,
I like outstanding. I love that.
Yeah. Just for our listeners who don't know what Poetry Corner is, and on a personal connection with me on Facebook, my youngest daughter and I used to do just pick a poem we liked and just read it together on a Facebook video, and it got quite popular. Not as popular as the podcast, because we've got, but yeah, just doing that sort of stuff is always good. Poetry Corner was good. Russ, just unofficial question of the podcast: what's your favourite poem?
Poem.
Yeah, I know it's cheesy, and I know it's and I think we might do this as next week's question of the podcast, actually, because I don't think we've done favourite poems before.
We haven't done favourite animal either. We'll just keep stashing them up.
Favourite animal? We haven't done favourite animal. That's surprising. I like Rudyard Kipling's If. That is, for me, one of the best pieces of poetry ever. I know it's cheesy, and I know everybody says about Rudyard Kipling, but it is. Have you ever read If?
I haven't. And
listeners, have you ever read it?
I don't read much poetry.
I've had it read to me.
Yeah. If you haven't read, or there's it's quite a famous poem, so there's loads of sort of YouTube versions. Take a look at it on YouTube. It is an amazing piece of work.
It's going to be the next thing I do straight after this. So.
But I actually think you love it. Give it a go.
I quite like. I think my favourite poem is, if I can remember the name of it, 93% Stardust, or I think it's something along those lines.
What was the...
Nikita Gill.
Nikita Gill.
Right pronunciation. And it's a really short poem, but I really love it. I hope I remember the name of the poem and the author correctly.
Yeah.
But I really love it.
So we will, actually, now we know, we will talk about poetry on next week's show, because I think next week's question is definitely going to be what's your favourite poem and why? But let's move on with the show and let's have a little bit of it's your big moment. Make sure you get it right. Go on.
You gave me a fright there.
Dead air on a podcast. I've got a wiggly finger in front of my face. Yes, it is Kindness News, ladies and gents. It's the bit of the podcast where we share with you just some positive stories of stuff going on in the world. Because if you've been a a regular listener to the Kindness Project, you know we're all about, particularly in a world where there's plenty of stuff going on that's not that positive. The stories of what most people's lives are, which is kind, optimistic, and doing good stuff. So I want to share the story today of the woman who pays for a random child's birthday cake every year in honour of her late daughter. A grieving mother buys a cake for a child she doesn't know every year in memory of her late daughter. Ashley Santee from Scottsdale, Arizona, lost her little girl, McKenna Jodell, in 2008. Just 9 months old at the time, McKenna sadly died of a traumatic brain injury after a TV accidentally fell on her. Since then, every year on what would be the day of her daughter's birthday, Santee goes to a local bakery and pays for a random child's birthday cake in McKenna's honour. This year, she purchased a cake for an 11-year-old girl named Madison, whose older brother Kyle shared the good deed online. So today is my sister's birthday, and when we went to pick up the cake, somebody had already paid for it. It was left with this card. My family was speechless. And the card said, please enjoy your day. This random act of kindness is been in loving memory of the lady who donated. This is now a viral post which has been liked more than 200,000 times. Jar Reggie also shared an image of his sister with a cake and a kind letter left by a sentee. Dear birthday girl, in honour of my daughter's 10th birthday, I have chosen your birthday cake to pay for. Every year I do this random act of kindness because I am unable to buy my daughter a cake of her own. Today is her big double-digit birthday. Please enjoy your day. The mother also revealed that she was inspired to start her annual acts of kindness after joining the Miss Foundation, an organisation that supports families who have lost a child. Part of the programme is encouraging bereaved family members to take part in random acts of kindness as a way of honouring their loved ones. Now, I love that for a bunch of reasons. Firstly, because, I genuinely think in times when, your life has gone through a bit of a trauma, particularly with the massive trauma that comes with losing a loved one at such a young age, you can take that as a negative thing, or you can actually pay tribute to the life of that person you've lost by making sure the world is a bit more of a positive place. And interestingly, I think the fascinating thing about that is the amount of people who lose a loved one, either through crime or disease, and then go on to support causes or start charities that actually make the world a better place. I think that takes a lot of bravery, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think of that act of kindness?
Yeah, I think it's really, really nice because, obviously, that's made someone's day. That's probably made someone's life a little bit easier because sometimes birthday cakes aren't cheap, or sometimes you don't know who could be struggling, and just that thing has made not just the birthday person happy, but also the family as well.
But also the reality of it is as well that mum is in a position where she knows that the memory of her daughter is doing good in the world, and I love that. I'll let you read the next story, Charlotte. And this is couple so grateful for strangers' acts of kindness, but upset kids after a Liverpool match.
A dad from Ireland has paid tribute to the great people of Liverpool after football fans stepped in to help after leaving gifts for his children behind. Ken Corcoran
from Cork
went to Liverpool for the weekend with his wife Nicola to watch the Reds defeat Arsenal 4-0, the Liverpool Echo reported. But the couple got home to realise that they had left their children's Liverpool FC gifts behind in their hotel room. After calling the hotel, Ken took to social media and left a message in the Anfield Rap podcast subscribers Facebook group to ask for help. The post read, "I need some help, and if anyone is in Liverpool city centre this morning, today this would be greatly appreciated. My wife and I were over for the weekend and stayed in the Novotel on Hanover Street. We left to travel back to Ireland on Sunday morning and realised upon return we had left gifts for our children in the room. It would be greatly appreciated if anyone has the time that they could pop in and ask for a direct phone number for reception. We have very upset little kiddies here." But after just one family, 1 hour, the family had already had multiple offers of help, one of which was from Anfield Rap host John Gibbons. By 11 a.m, just 3 hours after the post was published, John had picked up the gifts for Ken and Nicola. The couple had purchased a Liverpool away kit for their 3-month-old Harper and a top for their 7-year-old Mia.
Love that. Absolutely love that. John said, I was just in work looking on Facebook when I saw the post. You could tell from his post he was really anxious about it. And when somebody's anxious, you just want to do what you can to help them out. I love that. Absolutely love that. I had a spare half an hour. I went to the hotel, and after confirming his name, room numbers, showing our messages and describing what exactly was left in the room, they handed the gifts over. I think something most scousers do is when something is in Liverpool, you ask them if they're having a good time and give them recommendations of where to go. When people are here, you just want to make sure they have a nice time. I think Liverpool as a city, it's probably one of the nicest cities I've been to be honest. Ken said he was blown away by the generous act of kindness. He said, we were so grateful for what John did. It's so nice to know that there's still people out there willing to take time out of their own day to do a good deed for another. It was especially nice to hear a 7-year-old telling her cousins about the kind man in Liverpool that he's sending home her jersey. It just reaffirms what we already thought about Liverpool. It's a great city with great people, and I think that's absolutely right. Russ, have you been to Liverpool?
Once we went to an Everton away match. We wasn't there long.
All right, yeah, but you've not sort of been in the city or anything like that,
No.
Yeah, I love Liverpool as a city. I think it's great. We've been a few times. So, and hopefully, there's a trip lined up for 2022 with my mate. I'm really looking forward to that. And on that note, that's our two elements of kindness news today. I want to introduce part 2 of our interview for today. That's with Tehmina Mirza. Tehmina does loads of great work. I mean, literally the elements that we discussed, there were so many. I had trouble doing the questions because she does such amazing work across quite a wide range of different areas. So thank you for Tehmina for coming on the podcast. If you've not listened to part 1, have a look at the www.kindnessproject.co.uk because the part 1 will be on there on podcast 212. But yeah, let's listen to part 2 of Tehmina. We live in where we are in Hornchurch. I live in a sort of cul-de-sac, and one of the worst things about the pandemic is normally, and we've started again now in 2022, but normally 3-4 times a year we just close the cul-de-sac, get out in the street, and have an old-fashioned street party.
Well, how wonderful, yes.
And it's, I mean, literally, to me, it doesn't take much of an excuse to do it. I mean, I think we did it for the football in the summer. We did it for Halloween. We did it.
You're lucky because of the cul-de-sac. All I remember is the Queen Silver Jubilee when I was a lot younger. That's the street party I remember. After that, we've had opportunities here to organise our own, but actually, it was that thought of going to the effort trying to do our street.
I think the interesting thing is, you talk about nostalgia. I remember street parties growing up, in the late 80s, early 90s as a kid, and you go, actually, there's some of the fondest memories. They're the memories that you actually remember. But I think if you've got one of the things that we're looking to do in a couple of years' time is potentially moving. But the challenge I've got with that is we've got such amazing neighbours, and it does make to your life.
Same here, actually. And don't you think that the pandemic's actually brought communities together because people actually try to make an effort and find out who their neighbours were and keep an eye on people? And actually, you're right. The biggest drawback to moving is, well, who are you going to be with? Building up that network again, and you miss all your friends and neighbours. Yes.
I mean, I'm an optimist, so I think most people are generally good, and hopefully wherever we go, it's gonna be a great place. But you just there's that. I mean, the funniest story I've got about lockdown and coming out of lockdown is we've got an amazing neighbour, a guy called Adam, who's a paramedic. And so he does brilliant work. Every time he came back, everybody was going like, "Is everything okay? Do you need any help?" Because he was doing sort of work that supported everybody in the community. So we made sure he was looked after.
Guy.
And he he came about in the summer. It was probably August, September. He came over and said, "Chris, you need to come over to my house." I was like, Okay, cool. Why do I need to come over? I've started beekeeping, and I want to show you these bees. I said, "Oh, brilliant! We won't do it today because I want to bring my daughter over because she'll love it." He said, "Yeah, great. Bring Sophie over." So my youngest daughter, my eldest one, similar to your daughter, is actually a year away from university. She's going next year, so we're doing the university tours at the minute, which is interesting stuff. But the younger one's not. I said, yeah, Sophie would love seeing sort of all the bees. Walked into his garden, and he's got his hive set up in his garden. And he gave Sophie like a proper full-on beekeeping. It was like, yeah, want to make sure you're safe, want to make sure you don't get stung and stuff like that. And then he looked at me and went, "Sorry, Chris, I've only got a helmet for you." Now I'm wearing a t-shirt with my arms exposed. I'm going, "Cheers, mate." I can't believe you've done sort of
stand back.
Yeah, exactly. But the experience and actually, I didn't realise that beekeeping just was so involved. Like he had to learn. He went on courses.
Yes, it's fascinating. So, funny enough, I had a customer I came across as a funding who's a local beekeeper in Walthamstow, and he has his own range of honey. It's a secret way he keeps all his hives, but yes, and that's where I found out a lot more about bees. And then I read about the Beekeeper of Aleppo. That's a fiction book, but it's amazing, and it's about how the beekeeping experience brings people together as well. And about nature and appreciating your green space and their environment. So, yes.
But it was absolutely fascinating going to see these bees. And then 3 weeks later, there's a knock on the door. He's bought us a honey.
How wonderful,
And it was just that, to me, is just community. Do you know what I mean? That, to me, is just small acts of kindness that help us just maintain those connections. So I absolutely love it. Now,
and you do, before you move on, you do know that the local honey is best for people who are hay fever sufferers, as local as you can get it.
Well, I mean, interestingly, the thing I didn't realise is and this is what Adam was telling me, honey that's made by sort of small batch, local producers are usually by bees fed on pollen. So where we are, our house, it backs onto our counterpart. So similar to you, I've got loads of green space, and that was really good during lockdown. So the bees effectively fly over to the counterpart, pollinate, and then come back. But a lot of sort of mass-produced honey you buy, the bees are sugar fed.
Yes.
So because it's a factory arrangement, and you can taste the difference in that honey. That honey that's actually made by sort of pollen is just incredible. So it
is incredible. Yes,
and it's more natural, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely. Yes, and good for you as well.
So talk to us a bit about. So I know you've told us a bit about the work for Supporting Humanity. What story in terms of supporting humanity do you think explains how important the work they do is?
So one of the earlier projects was somebody came up with a sort of a tackling loneliness campaign, and we called it Love Through the Letterbox. And the idea was, and we did do it. So what happened is we got some local schools involved, and it happened to be Newham, Redbridge, Havering, and I think there was a school in Barking and Dagenham. And the teachers got involved by getting the children to write letters. So at this stage, they were telling them about themselves, but they didn't know who they were writing to. We then roped in lots of care homes, and it was across 6 boroughs, including at that point Bexley, and then the local 6 boroughs in East London as well. So we ended up having nearly 800 letters from school children, and they were from the age of 6 to about 11. And actually, the very young children, they were doing drawings, and some of them were a bit illegible. I have to admit, 2 or 3 letters the volunteers had to write back because we couldn't work them out. We didn't send them to the care, but literally there was only a few. So nearly 700 letters. And we had 6 schools involved and about 20 care homes in the end, and the volunteers were dropping off batches of the letters to the care homes, and the residents were then using it as an activity for them to write back. If they wrote themselves, that was great. Otherwise, the carers were writing it on their behalf, or some homes, they said, look, we haven't got anybody who can write back, and they did an email as like a joint with some feedback. And the school children, when they got the responses back from the care homes, lovely cards and letters telling them about their stories, they were so delighted and they want to carry on. So it was a one-off project at the time. And I've got some photos again. If you want to have a look at the some of the pictures and the letters that were written, it's all on the Supporting Humanities website and the Instagram. But some amazing responses, and the children were so excited to write. Writing skills are obviously on the decline because of internet and phones and so on. And the older people just enjoyed having those letters to read.
Yeah.
And
it's maintaining those connections throughout. It goes back to that generational thing, doesn't it? You know, maintaining those connections and learning from each other, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and schools would love to go and visit, but for the pandemic, that was impossible at care homes. But so this was an alternative. And in future, hopefully, some of the schools may organise that. Even younger children actually work with care homes, even small younger children under 5 works. But we are actually, that's resulted in, so the charity then, Tower Hamlets, we're going to replicate that in Q1 next year. So I'm actually going to be the team lead for Tower Hamlets. So same thing, we're going to get schools involved. We actually don't need a lot of schools. They have more children. It's the care homes, finding enough care homes with people who want to or can write back. And we'll do that for the Tower Hamlet care homes and schools specifically.
Love that idea.
But yes, the colourful drawings, the pictures, the children were so creative. They did puzzles and poems and things to do. It was almost crosswords, Sudoku. I think they were very creative, and it was amazing. The standard of written letters and stories. It was brilliant.
And it sounds like supporting humanity has gone from quite a sort of small, sort of targeted project to something a bit sort of wider.
It is a lot wider, and in a way, so like I said, it started from the Burial Trust, which was funeral director and bereavement arrangements, but because of the mental health support supporting humanity started, actually they originally started in March doing the hot food to the NHS, because there was restaurants were empty, and the volunteers actually cooked meals and supplied hospitals, care homes and individuals who were isolated with hot food for about 2 months. But once things opened up, obviously the restaurants were busy, and then the support line. So it's been an amazing project. There are at least, apart from the burial side, 150 volunteers on that side, another 50 volunteers who have come from all walks of life, who are giving their time for free. And they do an amazing job. I have to shout out to all the volunteers and the trustees at both charities, because if the social media team, for example, a group of young people, and they are amazing. They keep all active and up to date. The big news at the moment, they're doing day trips for the elderly, so over 60s. They've done. I did a trip to Cambridge, coach trip. It was again all catered for, taken with them, and we've got a natural history museum trip on Saturday. Unfortunately, tickets are all booked out, but again, if anybody's over the age of 60 in the East London boroughs, you're very welcome to look out for next year, when we should be running the trips to Cambridge, a beach, and a few other places that will still to be organised.
No, I love that idea, and again, I think now we're allowed to go out in the world again. We're now in a position where that I think we've realised how important that social engagement is. It's just
Chris, the comments and the feedback from the participants, they were just so grateful just to be out, just to be able to meet new people, to be out socializing, to be looked after, to be taken somewhere, to have got out of their environment, I suppose, if they'd been in their homes or 4 walls for however many months at that time. This was in the summer we started. So so we've got a big one on Saturday, so we'll be out at the Natural History.
You have to the Natural History Museum,
yes, and we'll do a tour of the Christmas lights on the way back. But we've got lots of volunteers actually on the coach, and then separately going up there by tubes to support at the museum.
So you're busy working, you're busy doing all of this stuff. What gets you up in the morning, and what sort of just keeps that passion to give back ignited for you?
For me, I suppose it is a sense of community and giving back anyway. I've always volunteered in different guises. To London Olympics was when I sort of joined up for Team London, and I then did some, ambassador and volunteer stuff. But actually, I just find it also exciting, meeting people. You never know the stories they tell you, learning something new about them, about just, like I said, I come across customers, the beekeeping, surprisingly I know about that.
This is one of the amazing things I love about doing this podcast, because you get to have, we've known each other for sort of probably, I don't know, 8 or 9
10 years, yes. Yeah.
10 years. Russ was only a little baby when because being my son. No, I'm only kidding. And I didn't know you did all this amazing work.
No, exactly. Actually, it's so true. We don't find out about people enough, do we? Yeah, we don't share.
And actually, and that's on me, not on you, but the idea of understanding people and what drives them and what motivates them fascinates me. So yeah, it's that learning something new all the time.
That is one of my core values, learning and development. I suppose I need that variety, but it's that freedom of choice to be able to do what you want when you want as well. And as you say, I'm lucky that I have got a career that I can do and accommodate around it. Because actually, how I started with the charity originally wasn't the emotional support volunteer, was as a fluke, the grant writer. I was writing the bids because the CEO said to me, "Oh, I'm too busy. I haven't got time to do this. Can you do it?" And actually, it's exactly the same as writing a credit application to a bank for whatever, £1 million to say, borrow this. It was exactly the same skills. And that's what's kept me busy. So, but actually, it's the work now that keeps me excited and as you said, it makes me want to get out of bed and do more, because the genuine feedback, the gratitude, the thankfulness, the difference that it makes to people's lives, that is the key thing for me.
That's the driver, isn't it?
Yes.
How does this positively impact other people's lives?
Yeah, I'm making a difference in people's lives, and that's what keeps me going. Yes.
And what's next? What, like, sort of? I mean, it sounds like you've got a lot on. So if you say nothing,
the Tiffin Valley will be a project. It will come to an end probably in a year or so next year, at the end of next year. So yes, I am looking ahead. I did get involved with some kindergartens in northern India. So my family are from Gujarat in the middle of India, and I've never been north. It's a rural mountainous region, one of the smaller states of India. And again, I met some Indian para athletes when I was a volunteer at the para athletics in London. And through that, I met a social activist through Facebook, actually. So when I went to India, I made a trip out to northern India, which is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's part of where the Dalai Lama, the same state where he stays, and it's mountainous, and it's at the foothills of the Himalayas. And he does a lot for his state. Again, shout out to Ravi Singh Dogra. He's on my Facebook friend. But what he said is the state is very good in terms of education, and they do provide the facilities and the teachers. But when I went to see these kindergartens, each village is on a separate mountain. So the children, there may only be 6 or 10 children per village, but they need to have their own. They're too young to climb up, down one mountain and go to the next village.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So the government will provide the premises and the teacher's salary for that. But obviously the equipment just wasn't up to the standard that we have here. Even in our homes, sort of secondhand books and things, the toys and the books and the material. So it was just something that, with a few friends and family, I collected money for books, and then I extended to stationery and sweets and chocolates and biscuits, and I sent it out to 2 kindergartens, shipped it out there, and they loved it. But then what happened? He said there's 7 kindergartens here in my particular district. So it was like, okay, I've only done 2. So that's when I got a few other businesses, and Chris, you may be familiar, Vistara Financial Services and Eurashford's Accountants. So they sponsored me for 1 kindergarten, and there's also a boys' orphanage. So I collected clothes, and it didn't take a lot, just literally between 7 or 6 friends and family. I collected enough clothes to send it out to the orphanages, and again we did the same for the other kindergartens, and collected some age-appropriate books, toys, stationery, some sweets and biscuits, and sent that out. It did get delayed because of the pandemic to deliver them, but what they did is they managed to deliver them at the beginning of the year, and it got it out to the children. They called children to a central place because the schools, they weren't allowed to be in the schools at that time. They were going through various lockdowns as well. So that was just a start. But what he really wants to do is, have you seen the film Padman? No, it's a Bollywood film, but it's based on a true story of a man who sanitary and women's health and hygiene is can be very neglected in these developing countries, and there's certain religious taboos as well. And I've got a friend. So again, shout out to Alexandra Morris, Female Dignity. That's exactly what she's doing. But what they want to do is raise money to have a sort of factory producing sanitary towels made from natural resources. So whatever the natural material is in that country, it can be bamboo, it can be banana leaves, it can be cotton, it can be sugar palm, and the aim is the charity will raise the money to have enough to set up the factory unit, the equipment, train the staff, but the women would provide employment locally, and then the women who are selling it to the local women.
It creates enterprise as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, local enterprise as well as. And then the lady, I'm getting, so my friend wants to do that off his own back. And then I came across this lady, Amanda, sorry, Alexander, of Female Dignity, who's actually set up a charity specifically. So I want to put the two together.
Yeah,
and that's a potential site for her next. She's working on
central collaboration.
Yes, she's actually working on Nigeria at the moment, and she's they're learning how to get the collaboration, and then potentially Ravi in India and Himachal Pradesh would be a future project. So that might take raising money in the UK. Hopefully, I can help him. Like I said, once this eases off in the next year or so, but we'll look to do that in the next couple of years.
You know what? I mean, I say this to my two girls. You don't know how lucky you are, because some of those challenges that kids and women and girls facing it's an interesting one, because it's not only other countries, it's actually in the UK. So
yes, there is that. There's a
feminine
UK
hygiene poverty is. We did an interview with a hygiene bank, and they effectively give. Fundraising gives. So let me give you an example. They've got a relationship with Boots, the chemist, who donate them feminine hygiene equipment, and they then give it away to people who can't afford feminine hygiene.
Yeah, you're right. There is still that feminine hygiene product poverty in the UK, and yes, I've heard of the charities who collect products or raise money for that, and it's an amazing. And you're right, you don't have to look too far from home. And can you imagine what it would be like in a developing country?
Well, this is the thing.
People are missing. Girls are missing school. So if you're missing up school once a month, how is that impacting your 100%. Education, your social culture, your family life, your future potential, all sorts of ongoing social impact for the country? Actually, it's huge.
Do you think there's an element of social taboo as well in terms of some of those conversations, and that has an impact?
Definitely, that's the issue in certain, and it's certain cultures. You can't put it down to one religion or one culture. It's certain cultures. So even in India, there's pockets where it's worse, and you hear of in certain cultures and religions, it's like the women are considered unclean, and there's some horror stories. They live on a isolated hut, but actually, if they're there for a week on their own, I'm sorry, but that's ripe for predators, isn't it? So there are risks, all sorts of things that we can't even imagine, actually.
Yeah, I mean, as a dad of two girls, it's some of these issues for women are really we need to tackle them.
They're heart wrenching, aren't they? When you realise what is involved, because it's that realisation. We didn't even if you're not aware of what the problems are in other places, whether it's UK or abroad, you don't realise. Again, it comes down to gratitude and how lucky you are and appreciative of what you have. Basics.
Not like you. I mean, part of the reason we do the podcast, and part of the reason I like having interesting conversations with amazing people is actually to challenge my own perception of the world. Because the problem is I'm a natural optimist, so I think everything's. I mean, I'm lucky to live quite a privileged life, but sometimes you forget what's going on outside your bubble, and help people that need it.
Yeah, no, of course. And I'm like you, definitely an optimist, and appreciative of what I have. But of course, we all get sucked into our own little lives, and we just lose sight of how lucky and how obviously how privileged we are. You can say that.
Also, how much impact we can have by doing amazing work.
And that's what I think. And it doesn't matter how large or small the impact is. There's a saying, and I'm going to quote it wrong, but even in Islam, there's a saying: you save one person's life, it's like you've saved humanity.
Yeah, love that.
And it's so true, isn't it? Yeah,
love that. Right, so we're coming to the end of the podcast now. I want to make sure that everybody gets a shout out, but you've got so many projects. I want to make sure that we shout out all of them. So where can we find out a bit about you, and where can we find out a bit about some of the amazing projects you're involved with?
Okay, so I'm not that brilliant on social media, but everything is on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, I am on Facebook as well. So connect with me if you're interested. That I'd be delighted to. And I do post certain things. I tend on Facebook, but LinkedIn, I suppose, is my professional one. So I haven't put too much, but I'll make an effort to put more on there.
You know what? I mean, it's really interesting. We don't put anything about podcasts. We don't put much about podcast on LinkedIn. We use Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether that's actually an old-fashioned concept. And
I think it is. And I agree with you, because people are saying, is LinkedIn is not the person? Well, actually it is. It's about the person. So it's probably down to you and me as well. We're not really social media people, but
particularly in our sort of profession where it's all about the relationships, surely you want to know about some of the other stuff that you do. So yeah, I might take my own advice and post a bit more kindness project stuff.
And I need to post more. So yeah, my own LinkedIn does have more of the history of what I'm involved in. But obviously, go to the individual charities websites and Instagram. So Supporting Humanity, they're definitely big on Instagram and their website. Tiffany Wiley Heritage Food Project is Facebook and a website. The Burial Trust, the local one in Forest Gate, they've got a website. They're not huge on social media because it's such a local community. But the other one I mentioned, Female Dignity, and the sanitary product that she's on, that's Amanda at Female Dignity, is on the website. Who else? And Ravi Singh Dogra, the social activist in India, he's more on Facebook. So they're all connected to me as well. So you're welcome to look at my LinkedIn connection to find these people.
And what we do, every podcast interview we do, we have show notes, so they'll all be on the kindnessproject.co.uk. Take a look at the show notes, and all of the links will be on there. Tehmina, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved it.
Oh, thank you, Chris. It's been amazing. Yes, and it was only when I sat down to write what I've been involved in that I realised how much I've done. It's just otherwise, yes, it's just this is what I've done and forgotten about it.
Keep up the amazing work, and
thank you so much.
When maybe in a year or so's time we can have you back and just talk about some updates in terms of what's going on in your life.
Oh, I would love to. It's been fascinating, and thank you so much, Chris, for what you do as well.
Thank you, appreciate that. So that was part 2 of Tehmina. That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And let's get on to the end of the show. And you have a little jingle.
Here's the end of another podcast.
Now, I'm just thinking, right?
At the end of the trilogy. Just the end is always the beginning of something entirely new. I'm done.
She's done. I tell you what I was thinking, right? I was thinking, can we not get, like, just a recording of Charlotte saying that to... No, she doesn't want to do that. Well, producer Russ, what are we doing?
Producer Russ says yes.
Oh.
What I've got set up on the computer in the bedroom, the main computer, the desktop.
Yeah.
Is called a Stream Deck.
Right.
And one of the...
Is this the thing you've spent quite a lot of money on that you're really proud of?
The £700 thing's coming tomorrow.
How much was it, Russ?
$739.46.
That seems like the most random number in the world.
That specifically is just for streaming stuff.
Right.
In remote location, in the field.
How much stuff are you going to stream your top off? Just out of interest.
None.
No, you sure?
I'll definitely be dressed when I attend that
once bitten, twice shy, yeah?
You're never doing it again? Be dressed when I attend that event.
Good. I'm pleased to hear it. I've just got this image of Russ just going, hello, this is the Russell Dames podcast, right. Topless with Russ. Yes, that is what we're going to call your podcast.
Cooking Topless with Russ.
Cooking Topless with Russ. That's an amazing podcast.
Russ, I'm so sorry. I won't be listening to it.
Russ, only fans, mate. That's what you become. No. Only fans. People paying a £5 to tune into Cooking Topless with Russ.
Just let me finish what I was saying.
Go on, OnlyFans, Russ. Go on, will you?
I've got a Stream Deck, and what it does, other than what's it called, it's a macro keys system.
You've got too techy, Russ. Should we crack on with the show?
Hold on.
No, I want to listen to this.
What it also does, it's had sound effects to podcast recordings.
Ah,
so you press a button and it has a sound effect for
Amazing.
I quite enjoy doing it every episode.
She likes doing it every episode. But the only thought in my head now is we need to make Cooking Topless with Us as a YouTube web series. Cooking Topless with Us. Watch the gas. Careful of the oil. Okay, and funny enough, our last week's question of the podcast was, what's the most memorable meal you've ever had? Well, one that Russ has cooked up, Liz, clearly. So let's do the answers. Steve Dan, friend of the show, friend of mine, really good guy. Any chip loaf. Now, I don't know whether you remember this, because we did speak about chip loaves in a previous podcast.
On several occasions.
That is a big bakery loaf with the middle ripped out and just chips in the middle with loads of stuff put in there. Sounds disgusting. Steve reckons it's lovely. What did Justin Gaffney say?
Dinner in the revolving restaurant of the CN Tower, Toronto, with my Canadian auntie. They had a starter of chef's special French onion soup with croutons and melted cheese. Most delicious soup I have ever tasted.
Amazing. And I'll give you an update on next week's podcast, but we are up at the top of the walkie-talkie, Cassie and I, next week for a lovely dinner up at the Sky Garden. So that should be good fun. I'll let everybody know what that's like next week. Caroline Thompson said a 7-course dinner. I hope Russ is cooking topless at the Sky Garden. Shall I have a word with him, Russ? See if you can do the first episode of Cooking Topless with Russ at the top of the Sky Garden.
No.
Oh, Caroline Thompson said a 7-course dinner sitting on the white sands of Diani Beach in Kenya. Oh, that sounds amazing. One of the things that's still on my list that I haven't done yet is either go to any of, I've been to Africa a few times, but Kenya I haven't been to, Safari I haven't done, and sitting on the white sands eating an amazing dinner sounds amazing. Tracy, friend of the show and married to my dad, said Cassie's mushrooms. That's my wife's mushrooms she loves. Cooking topless with Cassie. No, we're not doing that. She won't like that. Stacey Keane said she's got a few. The Witchery Restaurant in Edinburgh, Hatong in the Shard, Sartoria at Savile Row, but she's never had Cooking Topless for Us. And then
I don't know if anyone's ever had Cooking Topless for Us.
Have you ever cooked Kelly's dinner topless, Russ?
I haven't. No.
Try it tonight. So live stream it on the Kindness Project Facebook page.
No, please don't.
And on that note, my friends, that's the end of the show. Have a amazing week, and we'll see you next time on the Kindness Project.
Bye.